When it comes to illustrating personal development, my teacher, Mr. Schoaf, often began with money. While money isn't the only place to start when discussing personal development, it's where he chose to begin. Let me share the insights he imparted to me during those discussions. Well, it takes time to bring value to the marketplace. However, we do not get paid for time, so we can cross that out. Mistakenly, the man says, "I'm making about $20 an hour." Not true. If that were true, you could just stay home and have them send your money. So that's not true. We don't get paid for time. We get paid for value brought to the marketplace. Now, since that's true, here's one of the key questions of my talk to you today. Is it possible to become twice as valuable to the marketplace and make twice as much money in the same time? Is that possible? The answer is yes. Could you become 3 times as valuable as you might be right now to the marketplace and make 3 times as much money in the same time? And the answer is yes. 5 times, 10 times, of course. There are other ways to become valuable. To your family, to your friends, to the community, to the team, right? Valuable to the team effort. Valuable to the concert. But here's what he said to me. In climbing this ladder, economically, all you have to do is work harder on yourself than you do on your job. Once I heard that, it made sense to me. I kept hoping that everything else would change around me. I found out that if I went to work on myself, worked on my skills, worked on my language, if I became better than I was each year, if I grew in skills and language and vocabulary and competence, then I would become attractive to the marketplace. Here's a couple of ways to learn about personal growth. Firstly, learning from personal experience. Think back over the last few months. Did you mess up? How can you fix it for next time? Also, look back over the last year. Did you do things right? Or were there mistakes? Let's learn from what we've been through. When I met Mr. Schoaf, he asked, "How have you been doing for these 6 years?" I said, "Not great." He told me straight, "Stop doing that. If you keep it up, the next 6 years will be just like the last ones. Let's make some changes." So, learn from your own experiences. The second way to learn from other people's experiences, or OPE. That means listening to what others have been through. That could be your teachers, friends, or anyone else you meet. We can learn a lot from both the mistakes and the successes of others. Here's what's important in personal development in learning from other people. We learn, number one, by observation. We learn what we see. We watch people who are successful in what they do. In sports, we watch their disciplines. In business, we watch their disciplines. By observation, what we can see. The reason I created this video is something that you could see. Someone's experiences translated for you. Second, we learn by what we hear. I've got some of my lectures on cassette tape, so you know you can take them with you wherever you go and learn by listening. Turn your car into a mobile classroom and listen. And then listen to the sermon on Sunday morning. Listen to the lectures. Listen to the teacher. Listen to someone who's got something good to say. Number 3 is crucial in personal development. Read all the books you can get your hands on. My teacher, Mr. Schoaf, encouraged me to start building my library, and it's one of the best decisions I've made. Even if I haven't read everything yet, just being surrounded by books makes me feel smarter. I started attending classes, seeking out people with valuable insights, and most importantly, I began keeping a journal. Mr. Schoaf emphasized the importance of jotting down ideas and insights, as our memory can't always be trusted. Initially, I scribbled notes on whatever paper I could find, but later I learned to keep a proper journal. I recommend you do the same. Write down anything that impresses you, whether it's a poem, a class lecture, or an article in a magazine. Your journal will become a treasure trove of wisdom for you to revisit and reflect upon throughout your life. My journals are a significant part of my library, and seeing them together, you'd understand why people take my experiences seriously. I want the same for you. to capture valuable insights that you can refer back to and use to enrich your life. So, in summary, focus on personal development. Work harder on yourself than on your job. Learn, grow, and absorb all the knowledge and skills available to you. Later, you can refine and apply what you've learned to your business and life. But the key is to start the journey of personal change and development. And remember, if you change, everything else will change for you. You'll experience progress and growth in all aspects of your life, making your journey truly fulfilling and rewarding. Now let's talk about setting goals. This is something that completely transformed my life. I've never looked back since I learned the power of setting goals. Not long after I met Mr. Schoaf, we sat down for breakfast one morning. He said to me, "Mr. Rohn, now that we know each other fairly well, one of the best ways I can assist you is by taking a look at your current list of goals. Let's review them and discuss." I was taken aback and replied, "What? I don't have a list." Mr. Schoaf responded, "Well, Mr. Rohn, if you don't have a list of your goals, I can probably guess your bank balance within a few $100s. And he did. That really caught my attention. I asked, "So, having a list of goals could change my bank balance?" He replied, "Drastically." That day, I became a student of goal setting, and it has profoundly impacted my life ever since. I've shared this knowledge with my business colleagues, and we've used it to conduct business globally. Setting goals can truly shape the story of your life. So, what are goals? They are your vision of the future. And when it comes to facing the future, there are two ways to do it: with apprehension or with anticipation. Unfortunately, most people face the future with apprehension. Why? Because they haven't carefully designed it themselves. They've left the blueprint of their future in someone else's hands. And if you don't have your own plans, chances are you'll end up fulfilling someone else's plans. And what might those plans be? Probably not much. If all your negative relatives suddenly became positive, what impact would that have on your future? Not much. If prices dropped a bit, would that change your future significantly? Not much. If the economy improved slightly, would it make a big difference to your future? Not much. Even if circumstances improved a little, the effect on your future would still be minimal. And if the weather improved over the next few years, would that really matter? Not much. Many people spend their lives hoping for changes on this not much list, but relying on these factors won't lead to substantial changes. That's why 10 years down the line, they'll still be stuck in situations they don't want, driving cars they dislike, living in places they're not happy with, wearing clothes they don't like, doing jobs they don't enjoy, having possessions they don't value, and possibly becoming people they never wanted to be. And it all starts with relying on things that won't make much of a difference. So, how can your life truly transform? You have to rely on yourself. One crucial aspect is your ability to design your future. It's what I call the promise. Designing a clear and powerful future can have a profound impact on your life. But if you approach the future with apprehension, you'll hesitate and stumble through life, leading to emptiness. We need to guide our children towards embracing the promise of the future. Connected to this promise is the price, the effort required. But if the promise is clear and powerful, the price becomes manageable. Kids will willingly embrace the necessary disciplines if they can envision the promise. As parents, our challenge is to help them see the potential of their future. That's why I teach financial independence, to empower kids to pursue wealth, power, health, and uniqueness. It's all achievable in America. That's the promise of the future. The price? Just a few simple disciplines practiced daily. Kids will willingly pay this price if they can see the promise ahead. So I'm asking you to get a handle on the future. I'm asking you not to leave it to anyone else. Don't leave it to the company. The company's got their own goals. I'm asking you to set your own goals. Your personal goals, income goals, financial goals, health goals, spiritual goals. Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? What do you want to see? What do you want to be? That's it. Promise of the future. Design your own future. It's within your hands and your capacity to do so. Here's how simple goal setting is. It's not mysterious. You don't have to anchor. You don't have to focus. You don't have to visualize. Here's how simple goal setting is. Decide what you want and write it down. I mean, that's how profound this stuff is. Decide what you want and write it down. Make a list. Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? What do you want to see? What do you want to be? What do you want to have? What do you want to share? What projects would you like to support? What would you like to be known for? What skills would you like to learn? Some extraordinary things you'd like to do, ordinary things you'd like to do, silly little things you'd like to do, very important things you'd like to do. Decide on all that stuff and write it down. Write it down, write it down. That's how simple this stuff is. And it's your own private list. If it's really private, you know on your list, put some stuff in code where nobody can understand it if this list fell into unfriendly hands. And simple things, whatever, foolish things, it doesn't matter. It's your list. Keep your list with you. I keep my list in my journal so that I can go back 5 years ago and see here was my list. And I'm a little embarrassed. Here's what I thought was so important. Now, how my philosophy has changed from 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 3 years ago. Here's my old list. Here's my new list. Here's what's valuable to me now. Here's what I want my life to be now. Here's where I want to go, what I want to do, what I want to see. Keep your lists of goals so that it shows your growth, shows your ability to change and grow. Your philosophy grows and expands. What's valuable? Setting goals. It doesn't matter how small or foolish it is. Put it on your list. My Japanese friend Toro Ikeda put on his first list a Caucasian gardener. Good morning. I thought that was good. I like that. Have you got this? Here's how profound setting goals is. Decide what you want and write it down. Get together with your wife, decide. Get together with your kids, decide. Get together with your business colleagues, decide. Write it down. Make a list. Okay, that's how easy it is. That's how easy. So, how can your life truly transform? You have to rely on yourself. One crucial aspect is your ability to design your future. It's what I call the promise. Designing a clear and powerful future can have a profound impact on your life. But if you approach the future with apprehension, you'll hesitate and stumble through life, leading to emptiness. We need to guide our children towards embracing the promise of the future. Connected to this promise is the price, the effort required. But if the promise is clear and powerful, the price becomes manageable. Kids will willingly embrace the necessary disciplines if they can envision the promise. As parents, our challenge is to help them see the potential of their future. That's why I teach financial independence, to empower kids to pursue wealth, power, health, and uniqueness. It's all achievable in America. That's the promise of the future. The price? Just a few simple disciplines practiced daily. Kids will willingly pay this price if they can see the promise ahead. So I'm asking you to get a handle on the future. I'm asking you not to leave it to anyone else. Don't leave it to the company. The company's got their own goals. I'm asking you to set your own goals, your personal goals, income goals, financial goals, health goals, spiritual goals. Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? What do you want to see? What do you want to be? That's it. Promise of the future. Design your own future. It's within your hands and your capacity to do so. Here's how simple goal setting is. It's not mysterious. You don't have to anchor. You don't have to focus. You don't have to visualize. Here's how simple goal setting is. Decide what you want and write it down. I mean, that's how profound this stuff is. Decide what you want and write it down. Make a list. Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? What do you want to see? What do you want to be? What do you want to have? What do you want to share? What projects would you like to support? What would you like to be known for? What skills would you like to learn? Some extraordinary things you'd like to do. Ordinary things you'd like to do. Silly little things you'd like to do. Very important things you'd like to do. Decide. Decide on all that stuff and write it down. Write it down, write it down. That's how simple this stuff is. And it's your own private list. If it's really private, you know on your list, put some stuff in code where nobody can understand it if this list fell into unfriendly hands. And simple things, whatever, foolish things, it doesn't matter. It's your list. Keep your list with you. I keep my list in my journal so that I can go back 5 years ago and see here was my list. And I'm a little embarrassed. Here's what I thought was so important. Now, how my philosophy has changed from 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 3 years ago. Here's my old list. Here's my new list. Here's what's valuable to me now. Here's what I want my life to be now. Here's where I want to go, what I want to do, what I want to see. Keep your lists of goals so that it shows your growth, shows your ability to change and grow. Your philosophy grows and expands. What's valuable, setting goals. It doesn't matter how small or foolish it is. Put it on your list. My Japanese friend Toro Ikeda put on his first list a Caucasian gardener. Good morning. I thought that was good. I like that. Have you got this? Here's how profound setting goals is. Decide what you want and write it down. Get together with your wife. Decide. Get together with your kids. Decide. Get together with your business colleagues. Decide. Write it down. Make a list. Okay, that's how easy it is. It's how easy. Now let me give you one more scenario on setting goals. When I started making my first list, Mr. Schoaf said, "Mr. John, looks like we're going to be together for a while." He said, "I've got a suggestion for you." He said, "I think one of the first goals you ought to set, you're 25 years old, an American male. Sure, you've made some mistakes, but now you're on the road to better things. You've got a family worth it. Reasons make the difference." And he said, "You've got every reason to do this." He said, "Why don't you, among all the goals you're going to set a goal to become a millionaire? A millionaire. This is America. All the possibilities are available. Why don't you set a goal to become a millionaire?" He said, "It's got a nice ring to it. Millionaire. Enough zeros to impress your accountant. Millionaire." And he said, "Here's why." Now I thought the man doesn't need to teach me why. I'm thinking, wouldn't it be great to have $1 million? He said, "No, that's not it. Here's why." And I had one of the greatest lessons I ever learned, and I'm about to share it with you. This will be worth the price of being here today if you can capture what I'm about to share with you. Babysitter fees, whatever else you paid. Some of you missed some sales today to be here, so this is a costly day for you. But what I'm about to share with you changed my whole life. Here's what Mr. Schoaf said. Set a goal to become a millionaire. And he said, "Here's why, for what it will make of you to achieve it." And I got one of the greatest classes in one sentence I've ever received in my life. Set a goal that'll make you stretch that far, for what it will make of you to achieve it. What a brand new reason for setting goals. What an all-encompassing challenge to have a better vision of the future. What for? To see what it will make of you to achieve it. And here's why. The greatest value in life is not what you get. The greatest value in life is what you become. Major question to ask on the job is not, what am I getting here? That's not the major question. The major question to ask is, what am I becoming here? It's not what you get that makes you valuable. It's what you become that makes you valuable. So Shoaff said, set a goal to become a millionaire for what it will make of you to achieve it. Then he said, when you finally have become a millionaire, now he said, what's important is not the money. I thought, wow, I've got some more to learn. He said, no, Mr. Rohn, I'm telling you honestly, you could just give the money away. Now I did better than that, right? I told you I lost it all. I'm rich by the time I'm 31. I'm a millionaire. I'm broke by the time I'm 33. So I didn't have to give it all away. I lost it all. Foolish mistakes I made. That early money drove me bonkers. I used to say, how many colors does it come in? I'll buy them all. I just went crazy over that first money. And then I made that one foolish mistake, right? Continuing guarantee. I mean, I'm so naive off the farm. I don't know what continuing means. And a few other mistakes. And by the time I'm 33, I'm broke. Now, I've made and lost millions since then, but what an experience that was. And I'm telling you, the man was right. When I finally was broke at age 33, guess what I discovered? My money did not mean that much. It represented only a fraction of all my assets. Shoaff said, once you become a millionaire, Mr. Rohn, you can give all the money away because, he says, what's important is not the money. What's important is the person you've become. What a whole new concept on setting goals. Now there's two parts to this, and then we're wrapping up goals. Here's the first part. Now on this goal setting, for what you become. 1, don't set your goals too low. Interesting. We teach in leadership. You'll find it on the cassettes. Don't join an easy crowd. You won't grow. Go where the expectations are high. Go where the demands are high. Go where the pressure's on to perform, to grow, to change, to develop, to read, to study, to develop skills. I belong to a small group. We do business around the world. You cannot believe the expectations at that level, what we expect of each other in terms of excellence far beyond average. Why? So that we can each grow, so that we can receive from the group. We can contribute to the group something unprecedented. It's called living at the summit. Go where the demands are high. Go where the expectations are strong, so that it'll provoke you, push you, urgently insist that you not remain the same for the next couple of years, the next 5 years, that you'll grow and change. So don't set your goals too low. The guy says, well, I don't need much. Well then, you don't need to become much. Now here's the last part on setting goals. Don't compromise. Don't sell out. There were some things I went for back in those early years that I paid too big a price for. If I'd have known how much it was going to cost me, I never would have paid, but I didn't know. Don't sell out. Ancient phrase says, count the cost. Count the cost. Count the cost. Up until I was 25, that would never have occurred to me. That my personal philosophy was the major factor. If you would have known me when I was 25 years old, and you would have said, Jim Rohn, how come you find yourself here? This is pitiful. Living in America, you're broke. You've got pennies in your pocket. You've got nothing in the bank. Creditors are calling. You're behind on your big mouth. Promises to your family. You've been to at least 1 year of college. How come you find yourself in this pitiful position? If you would have asked me that question when I was 25, it never would have occurred to me to blame my philosophy. That would not have occurred to me. I would not have said to you, well, I got this lousy philosophy. What else would you expect? I mean, that would not have occurred to me. Here's what we call that formula for disaster. Should, could, don't. And all you've got to do to start now the process of life change is start somewhere, and it doesn't even matter where. You can start with good health, or you can start with something else. The key is to start by saying, I'm going to start the process in each category of finding by my own research. And that's why seminars are so valuable. That's why information is so valuable. That's why somebody willing to take the time to share is so valuable. Just to help boil it down in some form to the half a dozen few things that take care of most of it. And then let me get on with practicing it. And where you start doesn't matter. The process of life change can start with as simple a process as an apple a day, which means I'm on the road to cleaning up neglect. I'm going to walk around the block. I'm going to get the next book of my new library. I'm going to get a journal. Shof taught me to keep a journal. He said, don't just let ideas get by. You don't trust your memory if you're serious about really becoming an entrepreneur, if you're serious about affecting other people's lives, if you're serious about fortune, if you're serious about wealth and health. If you're serious, start collecting ideas. Go over them and review them. Then make them a part of your life and practice. And don't ever look back. That formula helped change my life, brought me to where I am today. And I'm so delighted now to have the opportunity to go around the world telling the same story that I heard when I was 25 years old. There's a few basic things, and if you practice them every day, I'm telling you there's no reason why you can't have the health you want, the relationship you want, the fortune you want, the money you want, the income you want, the sophistication you want, the culture you want, the prestige you want, the influence you want, all of it. It's wrapped up, I think, in a nutshell of what I've just explained to you. A few things. Now let me give you one more part of it. Here it is. Once you've found the few things that make the most difference, now spend most of your time working on those few things. That now is another part of the clue. The first part of the clue is to get the information and consistently practice it. But here's the rest of the formula. Spend most of your time on it. The reason why a lot of people don't do that well is because they major in minor things. They spend too much time on things that don't count much, and they spend too little time on things that would count. Here's a guy in the last 10 years who's bought 2,000 donuts and 2 books. And this guy says, you know, my life isn't working well. Well, anybody in this audience could give him a seminar, right? Once we knew these numbers, here's what we might suggest to this guy. Hey, this may be one of your major problems. In the last 10 years, you've spent too much money on donuts and not enough money on books. You've spent too much money feeding the body and not enough money gathering food for the mind. And it's not the miracle of your body that works out your future. It's the miracle of your mind. But if you nourish the body and neglect to nourish the mind, I'm telling you, you're going to have all kinds of problems and all kinds of difficulties. So we would suggest one of our suggestions in our seminar to this man would be in the next 10 years, spend a lot less money on donuts and a lot more money on books. Food for thought, bread for the head. We call it, you've got to have ideas that feed your mind, not just your body. And the miracle of the mind is so fabulous to work out your future, to give you all the equities you could possibly hope for, to give you every dream and every treasure you could possibly want, for you and your family and the people you care most about. It's all available, but it is a very basic, simple process. Once you've found a few things, spend most of your time and money working on those few things. Okay, we call these basics basics, fundamentals. Another good word, if you're going to play football, you've got to learn the fundamentals. And there's about how many? About half a dozen, right? It'll make you good at it if you practice those half a dozen. A few other things, yes, but the half a dozen are what's important to lay the groundwork. Basics, fundamentals. Now let's talk about the fundamentals of life. Let me give you this little series to jot down. Fundamentals of life. 1. There's just a few. There's just a few fundamentals of life, about half a dozen. Fundamentals of life. There's just a few. Number 2. Once you know them, you know them. I mean, there's nothing difficult here. It's pretty easy to figure out why people are broke. And it's pretty easy to figure out how people get rich. It's no big deal. Fundamentals of life. 1. 1, there's just a few. Number 2, once you know them, you know them. Now here's number 3, there's no new ones. Written history is what? About 6,000 years? There's nothing new here. Now there might be a new way to say it. There might be a new way to apply it to the 20th century, getting ready for century 21. But this stuff is basic. It's old. It's fundamental. So be aware of somebody who comes along and says, "We've got new truth." Say, "No, you can't have new truth." Can't have. Truth is old. Just because you've discovered it, there's no sign it's new. Say no. Truth is old. The fundamentals go way back. The fundamentals of sowing and reaping go way back. The fundamentals of good and evil go way back. I mean, there's nothing new here. All we need to do, though, is to just bring our intellectual discovery process to bear and see if we can't find those few things. Then the rest of it is to get busy practicing those few things. We might all agree on one philosophy. This is where the value of human life begins to show versus all other life forms. I call it simply a guidance system. Settling on certain questions and making decisions about what direction in life you're going to take. Setting goals, making plans. This guidance system. I boiled it down to each one's personal philosophy, a guidance system. And we all need a guidance system for 2 reasons, for your notes. 1, to avoid the dangers. Somebody's got to give us some clues first on how to avoid the dangers. And 2, to take advantage of the opportunities. To see and understand the opportunities, take advantage. And to avoid the dangers, it's about as simple as I can put it. A guidance system necessary to do that while we listen to ideas, whether they come from me or from someone else. Be a collector of good ideas. Get more serious about altering the course of your life. And you can, regardless of what happens in the next 5 years, getting ready for the turn of the century, you can wind up where you want to be. The money, the joy, the pleasure, the satisfaction. Set sail. Now, what is philosophy if it's so important? I teach kids how to be rich by 40, 35, if you're extra bright, much sooner, if you find a unique opportunity. Kids say, "Hey, that sounds good to me. How do I do it?" And I say it starts with your philosophy. So kids ask me, "What is philosophy?" It's kind of a big word. So I've broken it down for them, made it easier for me to understand. Here's my definition of philosophy. Philosophy comes from 1, the collection of all that you know. Gathering knowledge is the first key to developing the philosophical set of sail. And then number 2, deciding which of this information is valuable enough to bet your money and your time. That's about as simple as I can put it to change the set of sail, regardless of the wind that blows. First, you search for knowledge. Then you've got to sort through it and decide which of it is valuable enough to spend money and time. That is one of the best equations I know of. You might know 1,000 things, but you can't do 1,000 things. You've got to sort through a lot of information and boil it down to the things that really matter to you and utilize that as the most important pieces, deciding what's valuable. So first of all, we've got to gather knowledge. When I have a chance to talk to my high school friends, first thing I tell them is, you got to have the information. Get it while you're here. Don't leave school without it. It's one of my little phrases for my high school friends. What they teach here, what? You think of it? That's up to you. What you're going to do with it, that'll soon be up to you. But right now, this is the important thing, is to get it. You can sort through it. You can cast aside whatever is not going to work for you in the future. But the important thing is to be